Next up, size images correctly. I'm going to talk about two things that can kill the SEO of your website if done incorrectly, that have to do with sizing images. Two separate ways of talking about sizing images that are both important. When we say the size of an image, that's a vague statement.
Yeah, because it could mean file size or it could mean
dimensions.
Size, yeah.
So let's divide it into two categories. Dimensions is the size of the image in terms of the two dimensions that it takes up on an XY axis on a web page.
So pixels, right?
Yeah, pixels. Yeah.
Pixels.
So if you are using an image, for example, like maybe on your homepage, you have a block of content that says, hey, here's a little bit about us. And maybe you've got a little inset image like a picture of the team. If you are taking a raw file from a photographer and loading that through a content management system or through however your website's built, it may or may not automatically resize the image for you. So what could be happening when you load that image is you could be forcing it down into the display window with HTML rather than editing the image. And if that's happening because of your setup, you're actually forcing the viewer of the image to download into their display in their browser to view it. I don't mean like a separate step, like if they download. I mean like if they look at it, they're actually having to load that entire big image.
Which is unnecessary.
And this is going to crush your page speed in a bad way. Not like we're crushing it, but like, no, you just you just broke that. So your homepage,
losing customers.
your homepage is the highway of people coming in to your site. And if the page speed on that is damaged with one of these images being pushed in. So what's the trick? Well, depending on your situation with your website and how images are showing, you can just test this out. You can right click on it and say view in a new tab, view images view image in a new tab. And if that works and you go look at it, see if there's hover over it if you're in Chrome and see if there's a magnifying glass, and then go further, click on it if it's a plus sign and get the biggest display image. And then if that's like a big image, you got a problem. You need to resize that image in Photoshop or some other photo editing tool, even maybe Paint or something, or have someone do it for you who's a Photoshop person, and then load something that's going to work for most users and most screens.
And Michael, another tip, you might know some specific plugins here, but there's some plugins that can accomplish this.
That's right.
If you're using WordPress, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What are some of those?
I don't know them off the top of my head, but
I just remember. I think Smush is one.
Smush? Okay.
And it'll do that kind of resizing for you.
Yeah. And so with CMSs, you often have a lot of tools for this, but if you're just getting that first blush, but yeah, Smush, that's a great idea. And then second item on this is a little bit easier to understand. It's the image quality. So if you've ever worked with images and you have, for example, a JPEG, a JPG extension on the end of it, that's a JPEG. We call it a JPEG. And you can save it at 100% quality, or you can knock it down to like 80% quality and cut the file size of that image in half just by losing 20% of the quality.
And most of the time the viewer doesn't.
And that's, that 20% is not really perceptible. Now, Google would like it if the entire world was just textures and colors and no images were being loaded, because they're hyper focused on speed. So you've got to do some trade-offs here. But image size is important both in dimensions and image quality.